What's the crazy rumor you've heard about yourself? That I had died. The faces at the school reunion were priceless. I used to carry my backpack with me to the same bar every night after work. I did this probably 3 to 4 times a week for months. One night one of the other regulars came up to me and, with tears in her eyes, offered me a place to stay, except I had my own place, a pretty nice one, right down the road. Apparently, it was going around town that I was homeless. I rarely spoke in school and half of my year group thought I was mute. I, male, heard a rumor that my best friend, female, and I were caught during a blowjob and I was eating half a chicken while she blew me. No idea where that came from. That I killed myself. My ex-best friend told people in school that, and then my mother started getting condolences from people. I was in the hospital for a heart surgery at the time. That I had a 12-inch sausage. I never denied it. Same thing happened to me. I was sitting next to my friend during study hall after lunch, and he was being unusually quiet. I asked him what was up, and he said that somebody told him I had a big dick, and that they saw it when I was changing after gym. I also did not deny it, but nothing ever came of it either. My obituary was misprinted in my local newspaper. A girl had gone away with a different middle name, but the rest of her details remained the same. Even the same month and year of birth. My phone starts ringing at 6 AM. The next thing I know, my mother was in convulsions, convinced that I had died, and that no one had informed her. R.I.P. Bear and similar messages flooded my Facebook feed. When I strolled into my neighborhood store, the clerk took a double take, fearing he was seeing a ghost, but at least now I know who cares. I went for a long time to a psychiatric ward. While being there, another person from my school comes also into my ward. We talked a bit, and they told me there was a rumor going around my class that I was possessed with a demon. That was kinda funny though. In high school, I found out 2 of my classmates were saying to others that I was a bad influence and an overall frightening person. I was a 5'2", 100 pounds tiny girl that never even got detention or involved in a fight, and was noticeably weak/frail. I was the least amount of intimidating a human could be. I have no clue how it started, but I definitely still remember my reaction of complete confusion, especially since it happened twice. Apparently I was transphobic because I broke up with someone who was trans. That I was dead in a ditch. I was 31 and had walked several miles in 80 Fahrenheit weather. No one was around, and I needed to rest. Laid down in a shady spot in the grass on the side of the road. A few cars drove by, and I rested for about a half hour listening to music. A car did drive past, then backed up quickly, and the man asked if I was okay, and we spoke for a while before I started my walk home. A few days later I bumped into a neighbor surprised to see me alive. The cars that drove past and didn't speak to me. Someone told others I was dead and my body was in a ditch. I live in a very gossipy area, and I'm sure there are many rumors about me because I'm into stuff they think is odd. And I moved here 4 years ago, but so far this is the only rumor I'm aware of. I don't walk as much as I used to. I wonder if some people who haven't seen me still thinks I'm dead. That I was a werewolf, and I'm not even joking. That I had sex with a girl that I found extremely unattractive. I figured she had been spreading this rumor, but when I randomly ran into her in public one day, she screamed at me for spreading the rumor. I was as confused as she was, and neither one of us knows who started the rumor. Rumors at work were constant. I was apparently sleeping with at least 4 different people, sometimes in the lifts at work as well. A couple of those guys were in relationships too at the time. I licked some girl's face on a date, then later showed up at her job and flashed her with my dick. I once heard someone say he's happily married. Part of that is true. I don't really go out much, and I'm sort of shy. Have been since high school. I went to a small gathering, mostly just people drinking and playing Mario Kart, of people who I was friends with in high school. About 2 years after high school and a few months after I started dating my GF, I was friends with this girl, but wasn't really friends with her BF in high school. Not a bad guy, just didn't vibe. He was probably a little drunk, but he just randomly asks if I have a GF. I say yes. He looks at me in complete shock and confusion. and he says to me, "Oh, we all thought that you were asexual." A few people in the room nodded in agreement. I thought it was so effing weird, like I wasn't offended, but it was so out of the blue. A bunch of guys just said I had a crush on them, but it was those guys that had a crush on me. I had a very bad reputation within students because they thought I liked several boys. That I'm an orphan. Thing is, my mom found a job in a nearby country, so her and my siblings moved out, but my dad didn't because it was hard to find a job for him. My classmates thought I was an orphan because my dad never appeared on Parents' Day. That I abuse my dog. Someone saw me at the park slapping my dog Onda, but after he charged a girl trying to bite her. People have gone completely insane these days and interpret everything to the most hyperbolic extent. If I was a dog abuser, why would I spend nearly an hour every day walking with him in the park? Not one I've heard, but in high school I started a rumor about myself by telling one of my friends that I had a macro penis, as I knew he would spread it like wildfire. Fast forward a week or two later, and sure enough, people in my school I barely knew, and even a couple complete strangers were like, "Hey, is it true that you have a macro penis?" "Yeah, but I don't like to talk about it." Fast forward again about 3 months or so, and I get my first girlfriend. Not only do I know she likes me for me, and not for sex, but I have a secret weapon. We go to do the dirty for the first time, and lo and behold, my average 5-inch pecker now seems enormous because in her mind, it was gonna be minuscule at best. Her facial expression said 1,000 words. Lol, very funny moment in my life. 4D chess. Ladies and gentlemen, 4D chess. That when I was in kindergarten I had beat up almost half the school, including kids from higher grades. I beat up a kid once on kindergarten. When I was 5. The rumors were twisted and made me appear far more dangerous than I actually was. That's the reason why I couldn't make friends until like 4th grade when all the rumors had died out. Yes, it lasted that long. In school, the principal explained that I was, apparently, the godfather of bad kids. It seems that other kids were doing bad things, and that I somehow was responsible without actually being involved. I was a high-profile scapegoat. I was amused. I'm gay because as a man, when my son was first born I did all the pickups and drop-off. Because of my family's crazy shift, people assume I was a single gay dad for some reason. Because I'm a man of color, pushing my son is a stroller, swaddling him, and carrying him in a body carrier. I went to a party for the first time since COVID started, and had a pretty good night. A few days later the host called me and told me that one of the people there asked her if that was me there, by first and last name. Apparently my ex-girlfriend from more than 6 years ago had spread a rumor about me abusing her, and this was the first I had heard about it. Neither of them believed her over me, and the host calling me was more to let me know than to accuse me at all. But it still gives me this horrible gross feeling that there's a version of me out there that exists in people's heads as some kind of abusive monster. When I was in college, my ex-best friend started telling everyone I was effing our teacher because she was angry at me. It was true that I had a crush on this teacher, cause he was really hot but nothing more. One day after class he told me to wait because he wanted to talk to me. He told me that he has heard about the rumors and asked me if I spread them. I told him that I didn't, and that my ex-best friend started the whole drama because she was angry at me, even though our friendship ended because of something she did. After that he told me he would talk to the principal to get her suspended. When I got to school on the next morning she came up to me and tried to beat me up. Luckily there were some people around me who stopped her, but after that day I never saw her again. That I somehow stole or squandered $7,000 that was given to me. Shortly after college I needed a car. I have no family, no support, and it was desperate. So some friends at church raised money for me. I was given $7,000. I bought a $10K car and financed the difference. Made for a car payment I could afford and gave me a car more reliable car than just $7K. About 6 months later, I heard a rumor that I was given money and it vanished, like I had stolen it. but they knew it was for a car, and I had a car, so I couldn't even understand what the conspiracy was supposed to be. Most ridiculous thing ever. My best guess at that, because I financed part of it, someone thought I financed all of it, and just kept the cash sitting in the bank. Like, why would I do that? And even if I did, who cares? What if I had a 0% interested rate? That would literally be a better financial decision. If I got interest on the $7K, always stuck with me, because it was so absurd and pointless. I apparently killed the vice principal of my school with witchcraft. He coincidentally destroyed my pentacle necklace the day he died, as they were not allowed in school. The 90s, and the ACLU had gotten involved, so he became even more angry. I shouldn't have handed it to him, but he told me to, and I was mostly a goody-goody and I did as I was told. He destroyed it, and a bunch of kids saw, because it was in the busy hallway. I think I cried. I was pretty sensitive, and usually adults weren't that mean to me. Adults usually let me be, because I was quiet, and tried hard to do well. He died in a car wreck that night. I was just a little Wiccan. Way more FIAB buffet than the craft. I was sort of mocked for being a weirdo sometimes, and was harassed by FCA football guys if they saw I was wearing it, and they would try to grab it. I'm tall, and so girls never physically got to me, and then it all stopped. I thought everyone was maturing, and thought I finally belonged. Nope. They were just afraid of witchcraft murder. Hilarious considering I was so not scary. I didn't find out until I worked at a daycare, and one of my old classmates removed her child from the school when she saw that I worked there, and told the director why she would be removing her child. I had no clue until then. I think it was because of satanic panic in the 80s and 90s and the adults coming from those times. I don't think anyone would believe in teenagers psychically killing people in car wrecks anymore, or at least I hope they wouldn't. People in my school thought I was gay for 6+ years. They didn't use it as an insult, but treated it more like an unconfirmed fact. After I left school I found out I was bi with a kinda strong lean towards men. They were right, and I swear I denied it heavily when I was still in that school, because I genuinely didn't know. I think about this sometimes, and I hope that at the first class reuniting party I can prove them oh so right. That I had severely beaten up and injured a girl from my school with the help of my cousins in a public swimming pool. I don't even have the strength to lift a box that weighs more than 1 kilogram. None of my cousins are my age, like the rumor had it, and I never met her in a public swimming area. Rumor came from that same girl. She bullied me for it, until I snapped. I cried, told my teacher, and we searched the school for her. Then we went downstairs to talk about it, and I can assure you my teacher's face was priceless when she told him how I punched her, and how she had to go to the hospital because of me. I don't know if she believed me, but I swore to her it was definitely not me who did that to her. That I was planning to commit a mass murder on my school. It was when I was 16. I'm an autistic person, and I'm not very sociable. Also, I'm a tall guy, and some people say that I have dead eyes and I'm intimidating. Usually that's more a pro than a con, because the mean people don't get close to me, and usually the most of the people it's very kind. But when I arrived to this new school there had recently been a school massacre in the country, so I had teachers, students and the school therapist eyes over me. I was just an autistic kid being an autistic kid.